Hat, sunglasses, Pepsi, notes, sources, thick skin. Check. You already know. Let's go. Welcome to Golden Blue today, everybody. This is a college football channel. So if you like college football, hit the like and subscribe button. It's that simple. Also, send gear to represent your team and be a part of my background forever. All you have to do is send it to P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina 29657. And don't forget to check out our Patreon page. We have a lot of great perks over there. The perk that people seem to enjoy the most, of course, is the score prediction contest where we award $20 every single week to whoever gets closest to the actual score of the game that I pick. We also did a championship week. I will award $25 to that winner. And right now is the best time to join Patreon because we are going to do the bowl prediction contest. First place prize will win $50. Second place prize is an autographed Golden Blue Dude flat bill hat. And the third place prize is a shout out. And the more Patreons we get, the higher we can bump up the prize. So if we get up to $300 worth of Patreon pledges, we will bump up the prize to $75. If we get up to $400 worth of Patreon pledges, we'll bump the prize up to $100, and so on and so forth. So there's even an incentive for current Patreon members to encourage other people to join Patreon. That way the prize goes even higher. I'll leave the link to the Patreon page in the description of this video. Well, right now, prime time is front and center as far as major news in college football. We already know that prime time, Deion Sanders has taken the head coaching job at Colorado, which blew me away. I did not have Colorado on the list at all. It was Auburn, it was Georgia Tech, it was Ole Miss if they got rid of Lane Kiffin or if Lane Kiffin left. It was Florida State if Mike Norvell didn't work out. And it was Texas A&M if they fired Jimbo Fisher. Colorado? No! Not on the list. Listen, I will say this. Here at Golden Blue Dude, sometimes I make completely new videos and sometimes I layer on top of previous videos that I've already done. This is one of those layer videos, so I'm going to be adding to what I've already talked about. Colorado is in a bad situation. Deion Sanders has a lot of work cut out for them because Colorado is one of the worst teams I've ever seen in my entire life. It literally looked like a high school team versus an NFL team anytime you saw them on the TV. It was bad. A mercy rule should have been implied. I actually felt bad for the players on the field because that can't be fun. Losing is bad, but getting humiliated, that's a whole different story. So I felt bad for those guys. I mean, losing to TCU 38-13, at Air Force 41-10, at Minnesota 49-7, UCLA 45-17, Arizona, they got blown out by Arizona 43-20, got one win against Cal in overtime 20-13. That's a miracle. I don't know how they did that. At Oregon State, blowout 42-9, Arizona State 42-34, Oregon 49-10, at USC 55-17, at Washington 54-7, and Utah 63-21. This was a historically bad season for Colorado. And let's not forget, Colorado does have a national championship in recent history, in the 90s, the early 90s. It was either 1990 or 91. I think it was 1990. So yeah, they do have a recent, as far as recent history, national championship. Now, ever since Deion Sanders has taken hold of Colorado as far as being the new head coach, over 200 recruits and portal transfers have reached out to Colorado and Deion Sanders in just the past 12 hours. Well, that was yesterday, so it'll be the past 24 hours by now. And the NIL money is rolling in. I just did a video about JT Daniels entering the transfer portal. Could JT Daniels be headed to Colorado? I'm telling you, the buzz is Colorado. A lot of high caliber recruits, a lot of high caliber players that are entering the transfer portal are trying to get to Colorado. JT Daniels could be the next quarterback at Colorado. How about them apples? And trust me, this was the right decision for JT Daniels and West Virginia as far as him entering the transfer portal. He just didn't work out at West Virginia. He's still a good quarterback, all right? He didn't just all of a sudden get bad at West Virginia. He just didn't fit in West Virginia. Oh, and Deion Sanders has already landed a top 20 recruit for the 2025 recruiting class in Winston Watkins Jr. So he's already turning things around immediately at Colorado. Last year, they averaged 15.4 points per game, which is 127th. Allowed 44.5 points per game, which is 131st, and that's dead last. Point differential, yeah, negative 29.1 points per game, which is 131st, dead last. Colorado is in shambles, but Deion Sanders is here to save the day. But on top of that, I've talked about two different situations where this could be a sign where Colorado is trying to get into the Big 12 because we heard that the Big 12 is interested in Colorado in the regular season. But Colorado was the one brand that maybe the Big 12 is like, I don't know about that, guys. Don't know about that. And maybe Colorado is trying to strengthen their brand and their appeal to the Big 12. Or Colorado might be trying to solidify the Pac-12 because they are the lowest brand in the Pac-12 as far as football goes as of right now. Well, no, not as of right now anymore. as of like 3 days ago, they were the worst brand in the Pac-12. They might be one of the best brands now that Deion Sanders is at Colorado. But there's one more layer that I want to add to that. And I'm hearing a lot of buzz about this. The Big Ten. Is Colorado making a move for the Big Ten because of Deion Sanders? There's a lot that goes into this. Listen, Deion Sanders can't be the only factor as far as why a team gets accepted into a conference. You have to look at all the other factors, like how much money do they bring in as far as revenue? Do they have AAU status? Do they meet all the criteria for the Big Ten? How would travel look? Are they a good fit for the Big Ten? And to be honest with you, I think the answer is yes. I think they actually would be a good fit for the Big Ten. And maybe the only ingredient that was missing was the football program. And now that Deion Sanders is at Colorado, Colorado might be catching the eyes of the Big Ten. This was insane to think about a year ago or even 4 days ago. Colorado, the Big Ten? Are you joking, Golden Blue? Have you seen the product on their field? They wouldn't make money for the Big Ten. That would be like bringing in another Northwestern or another Rutgers or another Maryland, whatever. Great academics, but they're not going to bring much in football. Which, no offense to my Maryland subscribers, I know y'all are rebuilding and you're looking much better. But you get my point. Now that conversation is shifting because Colorado is the center of attention when it comes to the college football world. Not counting the playoffs, of course. We already know that playoffs is the center of attention. Outside of the playoffs, Colorado and Deion Sanders is the center of attention, which is exactly the way he likes things. So I do think that the Big Ten could be looking at Colorado now. But who would they bring in with Colorado? I don't think they would bring in Utah. Could it be Washington and Colorado? Could it be Oregon and Colorado? Maybe it's a four-way. I think it's worth considering because I think all of those teams meet the criteria of the Big Ten. Here's the thing about conference realignment. Whenever a conference looks to expand, they have to find teams that fit all their criteria, which I explained earlier. And if you look at the Big Ten and the Pac-12, those two conferences are the most like each other. In other words, the comparison between the Big Ten and the ACC, close, pretty close, but there's some differences. Big Ten, SEC, big differences. Big Ten, Big 12, massive differences. Big Ten, Pac-12, very similar. So a lot of teams that are in the Pac-12 would fit into the Big Ten. So there's a lot of outside factors other than do they fit in? And so Colorado bringing in Deion Sanders might be one of those outside factors that may have the Big Ten rethinking the situation. Man, bringing in Colorado with Deion Sanders. Now, at this point, Colorado could be a stepping stone for Deion Sanders. But if the Big Ten were to bring in Colorado and Colorado started making Big Ten money, then it could be the destination of Deion Sanders. Remember, Deion Sanders, he does have a big ego, and I'm not saying he's a bad dude. Not at all. I think he's actually a good dude. I think he cares about his players and the student athletes. But he does have an ego, so a lot of things that, would appeal to that could factor into why Deion Sanders chose Colorado. Hey, Deion, the Big 12 has been thinking about us, but now they're rethinking because of our football program. We need your help. We need to get into the Big 12, so will you be our football coach and be the savior of Colorado? Or the other argument, hey, Deion, listen to this pitch, Deion. We fit all the criteria of the Big Ten, but our football program is very, very shaky right now. If you could come and restore our football program, not only would you get a raise in pay right now, but once we join the Big Ten, this could be your permanent home, and you could be the permanent savior of Colorado. Not just the savior and then bounce on to a bigger, better job. Because let's be honest, Deion Sanders could still be thinking about Florida State and Georgia Tech. That's closer to home. But if he could be the person that saves Colorado, gets them into the Big Ten, and then he's making even more money, they make a statue out of him, all that stuff, that would appeal to Deion Sanders. Don't get that twisted. I'm not saying he's just this arrogant, pompous jerk. That's not what I'm saying at all. He's a very confident person, and he's all about helping everybody, and that would appeal to that side of his personality. So if I had to put the likelihood of those three scenarios, Colorado staying in the Pac-12, I would say that would be in the middle. Colorado going back to the Big 12. Remember, they were in the Big 12 before. Right now, as of right now, I would put that at the top. And then finally, Colorado going to the Big 10, I would have it at the bottom. But things could change to where things could get flipped around and the Big 10 might become the highest likelihood. This is just something to think about. I'm just hearing a lot of things coming out of Boulder that even bigger changes are coming to Colorado. Could it be that Colorado is thinking about switching to another conference and that hiring Deion Sanders was a way to do that? So y'all let me know in the comments section. Number one, do you think Deion Sanders will have success at Colorado? Number two, what do you think happens to Colorado? Do they stay in the Pac-12? Do they go back to the Big 12? Or do they end up in the Big 10? That's all I got for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.